Today on the Winded Podcast, I have a guest who has a very interesting path in hockey. Grew up in El Paso, Texas, represents the Mexican national women's hockey team, plays college hockey, and is pursuing a career in journalism. So she is making a name for herself on and off the ice. Today on the show, I have Camryn Heon. Camryn, how you doing?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
I'm super excited to have you on this podcast. Very interested in hockey as a whole and a very strong focus on women in sports. And your kind of angle of playing international hockey is super interesting. So, very excited to have you here today.
Thank you. Yes, I'm very excited as well. Let's get into it.
So, question is, how does somebody who grew up in El Paso, Texas, get into hockey? Because that is not one of the hubs of hockey
Yeah.
in the United States. How did you get involved in hockey in the first place?
Honestly, when people first started to ask me that, I was like, what do you mean? Like, the rink is like 10 minutes from my house. It's really not that hard. Looking at it from a different perspective, it is kind of an insane thing. So, my mom is from Mexico and my dad is from Canada. He grew up playing hockey, played juniors, everything in Canada. And then he made the transition, came to play professional here in Texas. He played for the El Paso Buzzards back in the day, in the 90s, as he says. And him and a few other Canadians decided to stay here in El Paso, got married, met the Mexicans, and then started the hockey program here in El Paso. So since I was like a baby, was going to junior hockey games, with my little headphones and everything. So that's kind of really what got me into it. Born into it, you could say.
I'm glad that you push back at first when people would say, anything about Texas or any other warm city. It drives me nuts. I grew up in Massachusetts. I live in New England, and obviously hockey's big. And people get mad when they talk about like hockey in Florida or hockey in California. And it's like, it's played indoors, so it can be played
Yeah.
anywhere. I don't
Yeah,
understand why the weather outside needs to dictate a game that's played indoors. Like, obviously, there's pond hockey and all that, but that's not how the pros play. That's not how it's organized is played. So I think that
exactly.
you should continue to push back when people say, "What do you mean, Texas?"
Yeah. And like this past week, it's been like over 100 degrees here, and our rink is still fully functioning with some of the best ice I've skated on. So I don't know. It's great. I love it here. And I'm so glad that our family was able to bring hockey to this community because the people here absolutely love it.
Yeah, and I was, doing some background research, and it's very impressive what your dad has been able to do and help really grow the game in El Paso.
Definitely.
And just bring I love hearing communities that aren't known for hockey start to become kind of hockey towns. I think that's great.
Yes. Yes. A couple years back, we won, what was it? Craft Hockeyville. So we actually brought the Dallas Stars and the Arizona Coyotes at the time to El Paso, and they had a pro game here, which was amazing. I missed it. I was in Mexico training for the World Championship something, but I heard that it was great.
That's awesome. You mentioned the Mexican national team. Very another, people don't think of Mexico when they think of hockey. What has that been like to be a part of representing, you know, your mother's home country and a country that means a lot to you, wearing that Mexico and having the flag and everything to be able to represent your country playing a game that is your father's game.
Mhm. It's incredible. I mean, the whole experience I've had playing on that team and in that program has been incredible. I guess I have to start from the beginning. So when COVID happened here, I was 15 years old and I was looking for a place to play because everything was shut down here. And it just so happened that the Rhinos, the junior team here, was looking for some new competition, just something to shake things up. And we're contacted by the Mexico national team. So a couple scouts for the men's team came to El Paso and was like looking at players, trying to talk out deals. Maybe let's get the Mexico team to play against the Rhinos, something. And it just so happened that I was practicing when they came into town with my boys' team at the time. And they were like, who's that girl? Like, does she have Mexican heritage? Like, who is that? And my dad was like, oh, yeah, that's my daughter. Yeah. So at 15, I went to Mexico City to try and make the under 18 team. I lived there for about 2 years with my mom during COVID, and automatically it was like she needs to start practicing with the women's team. So I went through, I would say, a year and a half of trying to prove myself and make the women's national team, being 15 years old, playing with the 25-year-olds. My captain was like 38. She just retired. So it was definitely a different experience. Hockey for these women was their life. And it's different when you say hockey is my life as like a teenager in the States or in Canada. It's a completely different level. The respect for the game in Mexico is something I have not experienced anywhere else. It's just they are so passionate, and it's really inspiring to be around people like that and who treat it like, I don't even know how to explain it. They just treat it like like a whole different entity. So it's been great. I had to prove myself for sure trying out for the national team. I ended up taking a spot of vet. She's about 27, didn't like me very much, but it was great. My first tournament with them was for the Olympic qualification second round in Paso, Poland. So I was actually starting line at 15 years old, and I saw the women I was playing against, their children in the stands. So it was a bizarre experience, but needless to say, I loved it. It's been great, really.
That must have been at 15 years old to really just kinda jump into that and just, I feel like most people when they train for the Olympics or getting ready for even to be a part of any sort of national competition like that, it's like dedicated time and there's a goal to get to it,
Yeah.
and then they're there, but like it was a short window of time from like when you were spotted to being out there and competing at that national level. That must have just been like a whirlwind for you, especially at 15 years old.
Yeah, it was definitely like, if you're gonna commit to this, you have to do it now because we have deadlines coming up type of thing. So I had to really decide if this was something that I wanted. If I didn't want a normal high school experience to go to homecoming and not see my friends, all this stuff, which honestly at the time was really difficult for me. And looking back at it, I'm so thankful that my parents were able to push me and say, Cameron, like, look level-headed, like this is a great experience that not many people get to have. Be grateful and take this opportunity. My practices in Mexico when I was living there was like I was at the rink from like 9 to 12 in the morning because well, all these women obviously have jobs, so late practices. We would go for tacos as a team right after practice, and I wouldn't get home till like 2 o'clock. One of my teammates would drop me off and wake up the next day, go to therapy, go to the gym at the Olympic training facility in Mexico, and do it all over again. So it was definitely an experience, and now it kind of feels out of body. Like I can't believe I did that so young, and it has taught me so many things. Perseverance for sure, and dedication to things I actually want to pursue.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking of like the older players on the team and having a 15-year-old kid on the team with them. You
Yeah,
know, I assume that they kinda took you under their wing and kind of were like big sisters or, had those kind of
yes.
maternal instincts towards you.
There was this one teammate of mine. I mean, she still plays with me, obviously. I'd call her Mama B. Her name's Bertha. Shout out Bertha. But I'd call her Mama B. We actually, when we went to Poland, we stopped in Prague first and played against the Czech Republic national team. And we had like a day in Prague to go explore, whatever. We're all in a store, and I'm looking at shirts in the back of the store or something. And I turn around, no one's there. They left me in the store. And I was like, what do I even do? Like, I have
Yeah.
no phone. I'm in a different country. None of these people speak English. What do I do? I ended up seeing these like half drunk Scottish girls that spoke English walking. And I was like, hey, I lost my team. Can you help me? And we ended up walking around Prague for a good 30 minutes to try and find my teammates. And then after that, it was like they had me on a leash, and they definitely had me under supervision for sure. And that's how Mama B came to be. She kind of gave me a good spanking, but it was great. It was great.
That's too funny. I can only imagine that the Scottish women that were helping you when they say you're looking for your team, they're probably looking for, like, another group of teenagers roaming around and not
Yeah,
a
and then
group of
they
women.
like, so shocked that, like, "Mexico? Like, girl, what?" Yeah, it was funny. But hopefully I gained well, our team gained a few new fans, and they were able to watch our games. We'll see.
So, you started at 15, you are 20 years old now, correct?
Yes,
Are you still the youngest or one of the youngest on the team at 20 years old?
I am still one of the youngest. So this past World Championships in Hong Kong was kind of where we experienced a new team with some of the older girls retired. I mean, not they're not girls. My captain was like almost 40 when she retired. So there was a few that retired and a few new girls that moved up, which are now like say 18, 19, so not too young. But yeah, and I kind of feel old not being like the absolute youngest on the team and having to like guide these girls and I guess do what my teammates did for me. I feel old. It's
Yeah, it's
bizarre.
yeah, I mean, 5 years in, but only being 20 years old is kind of like a weird spot to be in where you're like, you're a veteran, but you're still on the younger side of it. But
Yeah,
you have a lot of
definitely.
experience and you can relate and help kind of guide these younger players, which I'm sure they appreciate.
Definitely, definitely. I feel like I am really able to bond with them, especially some of them being from Mexico and then going to play in Canada or Germany. There's a few out there. I know what that experience is like to be away from home, so they definitely lean on me for that.
What is the breakdown on the team of, like, people that live in their whole life in Mexico versus, like, people
Mhm.
like you who have the Mexican heritage and are able to play that way?
I am the only one with Mexican heritage, I believe. Yeah. And we have so I'd say we have about 3 girls playing in the US, maybe 4 in Canada and Germany, and then the rest are, like, in Mexico City training there. And the majority of my team in Mexico plays both ice and roller, so they're doing things all the time.
How special is it to be able to have spent the time in Mexico that you have that you maybe wouldn't have? Like, you have the connection to Mexico, but kind of having a reason to be there and get to experience it from a different way, just having this experience.
Yeah. Well, I mean, either way so I live in El Paso, I can see Ciudad Juarez, like, I can see the Mexico border from my house. So I grew up,
Fair.
like, crossing probably once or twice a week to see family or do groceries or, like, something, so it never really hit me that like, I've always lived on the border. I always considered myself Mexican because everyone here mostly speaks Spanish, and it's just the culture here. Living in Mexico City, I'm for sure going back there and living there. It's my favorite place in the world. I love Mexico City. It's it's great. It's really great. I think you should definitely get the chance to go if you haven't. But being there as an athlete, it's definitely a different experience. And well, I got to go to CONADE, the like Olympic training facilities, and make friends with all the other athletes from Mexico across the spectrum. I would I would do it again in a heartbeat, for sure.
So Mexico, both the men's and women's, neither of them have qualified for the Olympics outright yet. Am I right on that?
Correct.
What would that mean to the country for either of those teams, or definitely both, to qualify, to get through the qualifications and get to actually represent Mexico in the Olympics?
I think we have work has to be done to get to that level for any, like, country who isn't big in hockey. I definitely think we'll need more support overall. I think let's say we do make it to the Olympics within the next 4 years. I think it would be awesome. I think that the environment would be insane of Mexicans watching hockey and just, like, the hating of it. That's what people love here the most, I would say, is, like, the aggression in hockey, and I would love I would love it. I would absolutely love it. It would mean a lot for our people, I would say.
Yeah, I can only I've seen the Mexican soccer fans. I could only imagine what an arena full of Mexican hockey fans would be able to do with the action that they'd
Yes,
see on the ice.
definitely.
So you are at Northwestern University,
Yes.
playing on the club team, studying journalism. You almost went and played Division III hockey, but opted to play the club hockey at Northwestern. What led to that decision?
So my college decision was actually a whirlwind, I would say. So at first, I applied to 28 schools because I thought I wasn't going to get into a single college like every kid thinking that. I had it in me that I was going to go to the Naval Academy. So I went through the whole Naval Academy, rushed in the application, the nomination, the fitness testing, everything. And I was like, set, I'm going to go to a service academy to Air Force or Navy. And then miraculously changed my mind overnight. Then decided, oh, maybe I'll play hockey in college. Committed, then decided, no, not for me. I would like to focus on my career. And so it ended up being for me in between Northwestern and Columbia for journalism. And I picked Northwestern because I was in the middle of deciding and I get a message that they're starting a women's program. And it was like, oh my God, this is my calling. This is God telling me this is the school for me. So it's been great at Northwestern. I've played this past year on the women's and the men's team. It's been so fun. And I honestly think it was the best decision for me to go there.
I gotta backtrack a little bit on that because you said you weren't sure you were gonna get into college, but then the colleges that you're listing are the Naval Academy, Columbia, and Northwestern. I think I think you were gonna get into some schools if those were the ones that you were applying to.
I think it was like imposter syndrome or something. I just thought I'm not doing anything with my life and do better. That's what I was thinking.
I mean, it's a mindset that it's gotten you to where you are. It's I gotta call you on that because that
I
is
know.
that's some crazy thinking.
I know, but it worked out in the end. So I'm very
Yes.
happy.
Yes. So what is club hockey like with men and women combined? What's that look like, and how does that, compare?
Okay. So, like I said, we started a women's program this year was our first year in 12 years or something crazy. They haven't had a women's program. So we had a lot of new and developing players to hockey, which I knew that going in, and I'm happy to help people learn the game. And it was great. I love all of my teammates. We practice once a week for the women's team, and then for the men's team, it was also once a week. The men's team, I couldn't have asked for anything better. They were so supportive of me and helpful, and they didn't ostracize me, which is great because most men's teams do, sadly. Yeah, we played against Notre Dame. We traveled to LA for both the women's and the men's team, which was great. And it's just a really fun experience. I couldn't ask for anything better from my coaches. They're supportive. It's so fun.
Obviously, you're at Northwestern for academics, one of the better schools in the country, and you're studying journalism. Is that something that you've always wanted to do?
Yes, so I'm double majoring in journalism and political science. I so when I first made the Mexico national team, originally as a kid, I wanted to be a forensic scientist. I loved like forensic files. I
Of
would
course.
listen to that religiously as like an 8-year-old kid, which probably isn't the greatest thing to be listening to so young, but it's fine. When I made the Mexico national team, I was put on the cover of a Texas-wide magazine, and I this is also what got me into my modeling career. I did, like, the whole photo shoot, the dress, everything, the makeup, and I was like, "This is nice. I like this." And then when I was interviewed for the story that they were writing on me, I fell in love with the way the woman who was writing my story told it and was able to express how much I've worked over the years to so many thousands of people. I wanted to do the same for others, and that was kind of my interest in journalism. So I started writing, started doing things here and there with journalism, and now at Northwestern, I'm in between either sports journalism, like reporter, ESPN type of thing, or political reporting. So we'll see. We'll see where it takes me.
Now, are you leaning more towards writing, on camera type stuff, a mix of both? What would be your dream in either field, whether you went the political route or the sports route?
If I went the sports route, for sure, ESPN reporter. I would love to do like NHL or UFC. I love combat sports and I love hockey. So something in there on air for sure, broadcast journalism. And if not, if it was something in the political world, I would love to be a speechwriter. Maybe work some sort of media campaign job in the White House. I'm not too sure I would wanna be on air for political reporting just because it's a different world for sure, but I'm interested in politics. But yeah,
Yeah, I feel like the political side, if you can stay a little bit anonymous, that might be better
definitely,
better for
definitely.
your work-life balance and in the real world for you. But yeah, just I mean, based on this last Stanley Cup run, I think that, ESPN could use a little bit of help from the on-air talent. I think that they have a little bit of work to do on their hockey coverage, so I think you would do well there for sure.
Yes, I would love to be one of the first Latinas on ESPN NHL, so we'll see. I'm definitely working towards that.
Over the past handful of years, pretty much, I would say even, since the pandemic, women's sports have grown so much, and there's a real resurgence in women's hockey. What has it been like to be an athlete, a woman athlete during that time where women's sports are getting the most attention they ever have, and they're not viewed as a punchline, that there's fans and there's growth and there's contracts and there's all this potential for women in sports. What's that mean to you?
I think it's incredible. I think it's great that as a society, we're able to highlight how much female athletes work because we work just as hard as the male ones. And maybe you don't see us because you don't like watching our ponytails or something. I don't even know. It's so empowering. It's empowering to have little girls come up to me and say, Cameron, thank you. You're such an inspiration. I want to try hockey just because you did. I'd love to see that. And not even just because of me, because of other female athletes as well. I think that there's so many young girls that are benefiting from the example we're putting forth right now. And the first thing I think about with all of this media coverage coming to female athletes is the future generation and how much female sports is going to grow and how much we need to protect.
Yeah, I just think, like the PWHL is doing great right now, and it's something that didn't even exist 4 years ago.
Exactly.
And you look at how far a league like the WNBA that's been around for 30 years, they bumped Sunday Night Baseball to put WNBA games on.
Yep.
I mean, it's incredible to see, and it's nice to see that it's not getting the pushback and the shutting it down like it used to. And really, it just needs to be given a chance. I think anybody who is closed-minded on it, like, you're just miserable and you're not gonna enjoy anything, but anybody who takes a second, and if you didn't watch any of the PWHL playoffs, you missed out on great hockey. On nights that maybe your team wasn't playing in the NHL, if you turned over and watched the PWHL, you watched skilled, fast, hard hitting even. I think people don't realize that there's hitting in women's hockey. I think people
Yes.
think that it's just this non-contact sport. So I am all in on the growth of women's sports, and it's because of athletes like yourself that put yourself out there. And I think there's so much personality, I think, that lacks in the male sport world, where it's every answer is generic and cookie cutter and the same thing over and over, where the
Yes.
women's athletes really show their personality, and they don't put on for the camera any differently than they would act if they were just hanging out with their friends, and I think that's great.
Agreed. I've seen it on, like, both, like, the athlete side and, like, the model side of, like, interviews between men and women, and I think the women are just so much more engaging to watch because of their personalities, and that is definitely a draw to bring people in. "Oh, she's weird. Let me see what she has to offer on the ice," or something like that. Definitely an awakening that's happening.
Yeah, I did high school hockey, rinkside reporting, and it was back-to-back weekends, high school hockey showcases, and then there was men's week or boys week and a girls week, and I would ask a question, and I knew what the boys were gonna say, like, what their answer was gonna be, because it was just gonna be repeated, and that's fine. But then when I would ask a girl a question, I was like, "I have no idea what's gonna come out of this girl's mouth.
Yeah,
She's gonna say whatever, but it's still gonna relate to the game, but it's gonna be phrased in a way that I've never heard of before."
definitely, definitely.
So any athlete that gets to a certain level has dealt with adversity and challenges along the way. What would you say has kind of been the biggest bit of adversity that you've had to overcome to get where you are now?
That's a great question. Well, I left home at a very young age. I really left home like 14, like barely 15 years old. So that was definitely something that was a challenge for me early on. And aside from that, when I was able to master that, I would say when people like doubt from other people, like, oh, you can't do that. What do you like? You're just a girl from Mexico, really? Like, I'd go play in Colorado and they're like, oh, you speak English? Like, do you ride a horse to school? Like, girl, really? Over time, I think I learned to use doubt from other people as like, yeah, watch me. And I think that's what a lot of other female athletes have done, especially now we're saying like female athlete engagement has gone up. Like, oh, yeah, you don't believe in me? Watch me type of thing. So, doubt for sure, leaving home and time management is definitely, I mean, not a big adversity, but something I did learn to manage very well. Yeah, I would definitely
I
say doubt.
I mean, the time management thing for what you have going on in your world right now must just be you must have a very well-kept calendar to keep track of all the things that you got going on.
Yes, actually, the summer is like the first summer I'm going to be home this long since I was like 13 years old. I'm here for 2 months, and that's like, wow. I go crazy if I don't have a million things to do every day. So I think it's just habit that I've learned over the years to like pack my schedule and do a bunch of crazy different things, even if they like I'm just starting them. So yeah.
So, obviously, you've mentioned your aspirations to go into journalism. What does it look like after school, after you graduate on the hockey side of it? Obviously, you're gonna continue, representing Team Mexico. Do you have any other hockey aspirations after that, or what does that look like for you?
I don't know. I haven't really looked that far ahead for me in terms of hockey. I've been pretty concentrated on my career right now and getting that going. I don't know. We'll see what's in store. There's a ton of
That's
different
good.
opportunities for me. We'll see.
Live in the moment, and honestly, by the time you graduate, there could be all these other different opportunities. I mean, the PWHL added 3 teams this year. Who knows? In a couple years, they may add 10 more. So,
Exactly.
who knows
Exactly.
what it's gonna look like, so
I'm very excited.
awesome. Well, Cameron, this has been so much fun to get to know you and your very interesting background,
Thank
and
you.
I will be pulling so hard for Mexico, men's and women's. When Olympic qualifiers come, I would love to see that team represented and see you there for it. Luckily for you, you have a long career ahead, so
Yes.
I have no doubt that you guys will get there at some point as the game continues to grow and you get more players. I think that it'll happen at some point. But Cameron, why don't you tell people where they can follow you and your career and Mexico hockey and everything?
Yes. Well, thank you so much for having me. You can find me on Instagram at CamiHio7. You can find Team Mexico on Instagram as well. It's Hockey Mexico Fem FEM. And we're pretty active on there. We give a lot of updates about when we're playing, even exhibition games you can watch in Mexico or head down to. And yeah, we're definitely excited to have new fans.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the Mexico Instagram page because that is a very well kept Instagram page with a lot of good content
Yes,
and
that's
updates. So
entirely run by my teammates, and they do an incredible job with it. So my hat's off to them.
for sure, for sure. Well, Cameron, thank you so much, and we will talk again soon.
Thank you.